Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show. This is the August 4th edition of our Summer Road Show, our on-the-road edition, live shows from around Brookline.
I'm sitting on a sidewalk tonight.
We're coming to you tonight from Beacon and Washington Street in Washington Square, which we hope that you can hear us because Washington Square is Brookline's third busiest and most productive commercial area on things. So
Lots of runners.
We're sitting out here and we will have a very interesting guest after the break. In the meantime, let me introduce you to our usual gang of miscreants here. Michael Sallen, our producer.
O'Riley.
I'm introducing him. He's introducing me. We're in good shape.
Miscreant one,
All right,
miscreant
1, 2, 3. Kiera Miner.
Kiera Miner. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I'm miscreant number 3.
You look like Kiera.
We always introduce our plays during the regular season as the Unrehearsed Thespian Society. Well, that represents our entire show, totally unrehearsed.
Well, if you're listening to television, turn to Channel 3.
Turn to channel. If they're not on Channel 3, they're not hearing you, Michael.
Well, they can come here.
They can come out. They can come out to Washington Square.
Okay.
And come join us.
Okay.
I came by here this morning, and the entire street was shut down by utility work.
Okay.
What
were they utilitizing?
Probably electric. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I'm not
gas. I hear it was gas.
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 They seem to have sealed it up all right.
I guess so.
I'm not sure whether the traffic or the jackhammers would have been more disruptive. In any case, today is Barack Obama's 53rd birthday.
Happy birthday, Brock.
Yes,
Happy
yes.
birthday to you. Okay, good. All right.
You hummed that. 53.
I hummed that. All right.
53. Very young for a president.
Wow.
But I guess if they're going to rake you over the coals like that, you have to be young.
Yeah.
And also, unfortunately, today, a significant person in American history passed away, James Brady, who was Ronald Reagan's press secretary, who was wounded in the assassination attempt on Brady.
He was shot in the head.
The Brady Bill,
The motivation behind the Brady Bill, behind the effort to curtail hand-cum violence.
He was a good man.
And he was a good man, and he was, I'm not sure what his age was, to tell you the truth. I
think 70.
I should have noticed that.
Early 70s.
He was about 72, I think, and passed away.
Okay.
So
what did he pass away from? Just being old?
He passed away in part from having lived a good life and having been in a disabled condition ever since his wounding.
Yeah, since the wound.
He's been forced to use a wheelchair ever since he was wounded.
He had some heart problems.
That sitting in a chair 24 hours a day takes a toll.
I would say so.
On you.
Okay.
Now, there was another piece of news that was released today that I understand appealed to you.
Oh, yes. That Syracuse University was ranked the #1 party school, whereas Northeastern was actually ranked the #1 career school.
The #1 school for career services of all the colleges, yes.
Yes, that's it.
And we thought that we would, those of us who have a tendency or a history of sending our children to school would rather send them to the school that is the #1 career services school as opposed to the #1 party school.
I agree
on
with that.
things.
I
So
thought Princeton was in the middle of that someplace.
well, it's the Princeton Review that put out the
Yeah.
report.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
And
All right.
the rest of the schools, one of the schools that always makes the party school list is never otherwise mentioned, and that's the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana.
Okay.
Which you rarely hear about.
I went to Southern Illinois University.
You're a
Carbondale.
You're a Saluki?
Saluki. Yes.
Saluki.
Well, I went there for a summer.
I was going to say, I didn't think you...
So
I
you were a summer Saluki?
Yeah, I was a
Summer
Saluki.
Salukian.
A summer
One of the
Saluki.
things I had to do was go down in a coal mine, which I hated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you do
Is
down
that part
there?
of the curriculum?
This professor wanted us to go to inside a coal mine.
Are you claustrophobic?
So we had to go down 4,000 feet or something
Really?
like
That's
that.
intense. Are you claustrophobic?
Well, actually, yes.
Okay.
But I still went. Okay. Of
course you did.
I didn't.
There was more room in the coal mine than there was in your
They
B-24.
went in. I stayed in the elevator. I'm
really?
serious. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
I was
Michael?
on the right
Yeah. Okay.
More room in the coal mine than there was in the belly turret
Probably.
of the B-24.
You got it. The Globe had a big headline: hundreds of orphans in the Congo adopted by Americans are denied exit visas from the Congo in Africa.
Why?
It
Well, we
may
don't know,
It
but
may
I mean,
well have
it-
to do with Ebola.
But well, maybe, but it fits in with this business about all the kids crossing our border, the young kids.
Yes.
I mean,
The ones that
Central
are-
America.
yeah, you know,
From
and of
Central
course
America.
our Congress left. They're away on their vacation now.
Yes. Well, in their opinion, they did something.
They did something.
What they did was,
I don't know if you heard
let's
about
not give them hearings, let's just deport them.
Well, that's In other
words,
but they
Congress-
didn't give enough money for deporting them.
In other words, Congress voted to do away with the Constitution of the United States for
okay.
convenience.
Right. Okay.
But last week I commented on, I made a somewhat unkind comment about our friends and neighbors in Revere. Revere. See, Michael's sitting a foot and a half away from me and he can't hear me, so I hope you do.
Casino.
But I must say that Revere's
He said
luck,
no.
Revere's luck continues to hold. They get hit with a very, very rare tornado right through the middle of town, even hit City
we
Hall.
talked about that, didn't we?
Had a lot of damage, but they just didn't have quite enough damage so they don't get any federal aid.
money. Right. You don't get that.
Isn't that
That's
typical?
just sad.
So the veterans in Revere got together and they all got those big power saws.
Veterans from all over, not just from Revere,
Really?
came out and helped.
That came out of Revere to do that.
Help clean up.
And they did. They stayed
But
and they cleaned up a big part of the
It's
city.
typical of Revere's luck to get hit, but just not quite hard enough. You know?
Well, you think they'll get a
That's
casino?
Huh?
You think they'll get a casino? They'll lose out on that too?
No, they're not going to get a casino.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you
well,
right now.
your sister says they won't. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
We're still
so what do
talking
you think?
about casinos.
What do you think about these right-wing commentators who are insisting that if you want to go help some people in another part of the world and you get exposed to something, it's your tough luck and you shouldn't be allowed back in the country to be taken care of?
I'm glad I don't have any cattle grazing on U.S. lands up in Nevada. That's all I could say.
Is that a non sequitur?
Actually, it's not quite, because the fact of the matter is that some of these people who don't want to pay their taxes and don't want any immigrants in the country and don't want anybody else to have theirs have made their entire fortunes grazing cattle on our land, on
Gotcha.
public lands.
Okay.
So it's not as much of a non sequitur as it seems.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
No, you can't be sure,
You
because
can't be sure.
we expect non sequiturs from Michael.
Well, it's usually how it goes.
This guy, what's his name? The one who has the cattle up there for 20 years grazing on, and they haven't been able to collect any rent money from him.
Right. And strangely enough, he owes his neighbors rent money too.
Owes
But
them.
it was interesting.
But he goes every place with guns and the comitatus.
There was an interesting thing on the internet last week that listed the richest citizen in each of the 50 states, and
the MBTA that went by.
the Koch brothers were actually the richest in 2 different states. But interestingly enough, they were sort of mid-level billionaires. But one of the most interesting things on it was 2 things. One, the richest man in Maine isn't even a billionaire. Was worth $860 million.
Yeah.
And the second interesting thing was that the liberal billionaires are richer than the conservative billionaires.
Well, do you think that John Henry is rich?
I would think so.
He owns the Globe.
Well, he owns Liverpool.
He owns the Liverpool. He owns the Red Sox.
Right.
But so why are they throwing out all these Red Sox players? They're getting rid of everybody.
Did you notice their record?
That's the problem.
Yeah, well, it's a little late to change anything, isn't it?
It's a little late to hope for the future, so you might as well change things.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose at this point.
The most interesting thing would be if after the season is over, they re-sign John Lester and he comes back for next year.
When I ask you what do you think of the Red Sox, we're supposed to answer that. Who cares?
Yes, right.
Okay.
That's the same.
You missed your cue.
You got the cue on that.
Well, I
All right,
told
we
you,
got
folks,
that.
it's an unrehearsed show. I mean, what do you want?
Do you think that Arthur T. What is his name? Demoulas.
Demoulas?
You think he'll get back?
Well, actually, if we
I
weren't
know about that.
Yeah, I know about
if we
that.
weren't doing this show, we might be hearing the news about that. It's apparently there's a possibility that they may agree to sell the company to him tonight.
Yeah, because he said he would come back tonight.
Right, and bring his team.
And bring his team with him.
So who's selling it back to him?
His cousin.
His cousin and the cousin's and all the family cousins. All right. What do you think of Arthur T? You think he's a good man?
You know, I don't know enough about him to actually.
Well, the
state
Globe had
whether I
a
think
very
he's a good man or not.
Negative kind of op-ed piece on him.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, last week she said that she wasn't too sanguine about his record of sanitation and things. But
Cleanliness,
in any case, we're now leading up to the time when we're going to take a little break here, ladies and gentlemen.
We are?
Yes, we are, and we're going to give you an interlude of interesting, fascinating, and well-produced public service announcements. And when we return from that, we will have our guest for today.
Yes, Ms. Shulan Chang is going to be with us.
Shulan is here.
Shulan is here and ready to go.
She's laughing now, so
I
that's
can't
good.
tell if my
That's a
floor
good
director
sign.
is chewing her finger or giving me a signal.
Uh-oh.
Well, she should give you a finger with a signal. Yeah.
Give me something.
We're
He
good,
deserves
all right.
that.
Oh, we don't.
Hey! Going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing. I'm trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hey!
On an all-new Marissa and Rocco, Marissa finds herself backed into a corner.
Hi, I'm talking about an old-fashioned girls' night at your place.
At my place?
We can all play robot domination!
No! We don't want to play robot domination. Why can't you understand that? Why can't there just be some way for me to upload it into your stupid G.I. Joe brain?
I found tons of info on sleepovers, and I think I found a pretty good one for you. Complete with pizza and a Netflix queue full of horror movies and romantic comedies.
But something may be wrong.
You didn't notice all the glitching? Glitching? That's what he used to do.
Find out what happens in this all-new Marissa and Rocco on Big TV. On an all-new Marissa...
Democracy is not a spectator sport. I'm Margaret Bush, president of the League of Women Voters of Brookline. The League is a nonpartisan organization of women and men that operates at the national, state, and local levels, encouraging the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Over the past 6 months, our local league has sponsored a forum on gun violence and co-sponsored one on mass incarceration. We've conducted voter registration drives and candidate forums, and we publish a townwide voters guide every year. Find out more at lwvbrookline.org. You can make a difference.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Okay.
Are we back?
Back.
I think we're back. We are back. Welcome, everybody.
I can see your
Shulan,
back. Go
you
ahead.
can see my back? I'm good.
Back
I didn't
looks-
really go anywhere,
got a pretty
though.
Back. Okay. Go
Oh,
ahead.
shucks. Shucks, Mike. Okay.
All right.
I would like to welcome our guest and gracious host for today, Miss Shulan Chang, the owner and proprietor of Fast Frames at the corner.
The three miscreants.
Yes.
Miscreants.
We
That's
are
good,
three
too.
miscreants. Fast Frame has long been one of the iconic anchor businesses of Washington Square. And from my understanding, Shulan's energy and the moving force, if that's the best way to say it, Arch, right?
Okay.
Behind the growth of Washington Square.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, I think so.
That's a huge exaggeration.
The
but
association
yeah,
in
the
any
Washington,
case.
yeah, exactly. The Washington Square Association, which replaced the Washington Square Merchants Association.
Merchants Association. Yeah. I
So,
remember that.
tell us about the association.
The association is probably the first association that brings together not only the businesses, not only the merchants, as in the first association, but all the businesses, patrons, neighbors, residents, anybody who wants to belong, whether you live in Brookline or not. It's just a way to bring people together, because one aspect of the square is the fact that, for example, for my frame shop, over 30% of my clients come from outside of Brookline. They come from Newton, Wellesley, JP, Boston, Lincoln,
Very
Cape
good.
Cod, everywhere.
Yeah.
So why create borders? Open it up.
Okay.
Now we started the association. Actually, the moment the idea germed was when about 3 years ago, the town of Brookline wanted to take 4 parking spots in our Washington Square away.
Oh,
and
no.
then I realized when I went to the first meeting that as Shulan Chang, business owner or resident, because I live in the square,
Good.
there is not much weight or power to that one single voice.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, if we can get together all the players within Washington Square, then we become an institution. Therefore, we have more power when it comes to dealing with outside forces.
Well done.
And in this case, it was the town. Now, we kept our 4 parking spaces, so it
Bet
worked.
you did.
That's the best part of the story so far. Yeah. You
We kept it.
Boy, parking spaces.
Well,
That's big,
hopefully.
big
hopefully.
news in Brookline, always.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
Very important for our businesses and for the
It is.
convenience.
It is.
So could you mention maybe a few of the old or new businesses that represent the special character of Washington Square?
Well, Washington Square, like any commercial area, goes through its ins and outs. Some people go, new people come. But I think the 2 businesses that are really worth mentioning, that are really part of the history of this square, one is the Little Swiss House.
Okay.
All right, that was started by the late Barbara Seufer. She was
Terrific woman.
the founder of the Washington Square Merchants Association.
Okay.
And then Connolly's Hardware, which is right across diagonally
Yeah.
street.
Over there.
And
That's
it's
a good
over.
store, too.
I think it's over 60 years old now.
I've been in
And
there
Kathy
several times.
Connolly, the daughter of the founder, manages it today with her son, therefore the grandson of the founder,
Wow.
Brendan. So those 2 are probably the oldest fixtures of Washington Square, our constants. And we do have new people coming. We have some that are leaving us. One of them is the fireplace. The fireplace is going to be closing on December 31st this year. I'm very sad about it. Very happy for Jim Solomon, the owner.
Yes, I read
But
about them.
very
Yeah.
sad because we're going to lose a place where we can sit down quietly for a great classic meal, great place to
Amazing
take
meal.
our friends that come from out of town.
So what's happening to Jim? Where's he going?
Jim is going to focus on his catering business,
Okay.
the fireplace catering. And in its stead, we will have a New Haven-based 100-year-old pizzeria, Pepe's, that is going to take over.
okay.
Reputed to be the best pizza in the world.
I've
But
heard
I'm going to
that.
miss the fireplace. I'm going to miss the fireplace.
Where's he going to do his catering cooking?
He hasn't announced the location yet, but it's not going to have to be a retail front.
Yeah,
You know if this pizzeria is going to have non-garlic pizza? This fella doesn't like garlic.
I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure.
All right.
Obscure questions.
I bet they could make
It's
you a
obscure.
non-garlic.
When I moved to Brookline just about 50 years ago, my favorite store in the whole town was in Washington Square, and it was a place called China Fair, and it was sort of a precursor of warehouse stores.
Right.
And it had all kinds of china and kitchen
Porcelain and
goods,
kitchen
and
goods. It was right up
glassware
there.
and things.
Yeah,
it
that's
was right
right.
up the street. It was very nice.
I remember that.
And Chef Chow's, Golden
Golden Temple.
Golden Temple
Golden
is
Temple.
one of the oldest continuously operating Chinese restaurants in the town.
And the Red Sox like
Washington
it too.
Square, interestingly, has 18 restaurants within the Washington Square district.
Good restaurants,
And
great restaurants.
It also has, of the major commercial areas, Coolidge Corner, the Village, Washington Square, and Commonwealth Avenue, it has the lowest vacancy rate in the town. So
you know this?
This is a very
I had heard something about this.
this is a very healthy area, and
People don't get sick in this area that you're talking about.
people don't get sick here.
Well, I mean, in that.
Their pets do.
Are you
You
making
used to have a
stuff
pet
up over
hospital.
there?
We still do. We
Yeah,
have the
it's a
cat
pet.
It was
hospital
around
right
the
here.
corner, the VCA.
It's a nice dog,
VCA
too. Did
store.
you talk about?
My dog,
Yeah.
Enzo. My dog is the most famous dog in Washington Square.
Hey,
He's
you
an
are.
Italian Greyhound, 4 years old.
Why didn't you
Believe
bring
it.
the dog out here?
I can bring him out if you want.
Well, it's up to.
You'll disrupt
all right,
Doug's
well,
flow,
yeah.
and then we're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Sean has what is called an Italian Greyhound,
He's adorable.
and he's named Enzo.
Yeah, but
Do you-
does
can you
your
th-
dog know anything about framing?
No, the dog does not know anything
All
about
right,
framing,
well.
but my dog has a lot of taste.
Want a
He
taste?
will bark if the choice is not good.
Thought that meant he'd chew on anything.
Okay.
He's very particular.
Michael, can you think of any other famous Italians named Enzo?
Camso?
Enzo.
Enzo.
Short for Lorenzo.
Oh, we had a famous singer named Enzo.
Yes. We also have a car builder by the name of Enzo Ferrari.
That's why he's named after.
that's
why he's named Enzo.
Okay,
Because he's an
good.
Italian Greyhound.
I figured that was probably a
Yeah,
connection.
well,
You're right.
I remember some years ago I was taking a bus tour of Italy, and the bus driver was a passionate Ferrari fan. And while I was there, the Italian Grand Prix was run. And the whole day we traveled through with a bus-long Ferrari banner hung on the side of the bus.
Nice.
Take on things. So your business is Fast Frame. It's right here at the corner of Beacon and Washington Street.
Yes.
It's literally on the corner. I don't know whether your address is Beacon or Washington.
Beacon Street,
It is Beacon
1628.
Street,
Yes.
okay.
yes.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of barn weddings?
Barn weddings?
Yeah, we don't have any
That
more
was
barns
a
in
very
Brookline, do we?
Random question.
Well, we may.
Barns in
I
Washington
think
Square?
I don't think so.
You know, a lot of
Anyone-
people, young people want to
Sure
get
to do
married in
that.
a barn.
Really? This is
Yeah.
the first time I hear about it.
I know,
Quite a
but
few
it's
people-
become very popular. Yeah.
Did
Quite
you
a
just
few.
want to turn? I think you just wanted to turn.
No, I don't.
People get married at the carriage house at the Shirley
No,
Eustace
this is
house.
a barn.
Oh
People
my
live in.
goodness.
They set up the tables in the barn and they have their food there
Oh no.
and drinks and things.
Michael, my daughter had a wedding in a barn.
Yeah, we
See,
went
there
to
you have
a
it.
wedding in
Well, I
a
think
barn.
we should ask
Your
Shulan
dog would
some
like
more
to be in a
questions.
barn.
Michael, I have no idea what this has to do with Washington Square.
Well, I don't know. Maybe one of these stores that's vacated will become a barn.
Become a barn.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we have one store
Here.
that is going to leave us, and that's the 7-Eleven. Actually, I'm very sad about it because what's really nice about the square is the fact that you have 18 restaurants. You can, I eat 98% of the time in Washington Square. I don't have to go out of Washington
place.
Square. Yes.
Right here.
And that 7-Eleven is going to close, but that 7-Eleven upped the convenience factor, meaning you didn't have to go to Coolidge Corner or to Cleveland Circle or to Brookline Village to go and get your
okay.
prescription.
Get a fresh bottle
or,
of aspirin or
Scotch tape
a
or whatever.
Band-Aid.
Right.
Soda.
So that space is about 2,000 square feet and is available for the barn if you want to open
There's
one.
an idea.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I could book several weddings in there.
Yeah.
Could you play an instrument?
Michael,
No, I can't.
Michael,
You'll have to ask our
could you be,
teacher.
I have an electric
Michael, would you
piano.
be satisfied if we got a pottery barn? Would that do?
Oh, a
That
pot.
should
No,
do
no,
it.
it's not the same thing. No, it's not the same. Well, what about artists and frames? Do artists come in and talk to you about framing?
Artists, photographers,
Photographers would.
all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Because the frame is the finishing aspect.
Well, the
my wife
frame-
said the finality.
Well, two expressions. One is
Yeah.
a very renowned portrait artist who practices in Boston and went to Harvard. And he said he loves these very, very ornate frames. And he said a painting without a frame is like a man without hair. And he doesn't have hair. All right, so that rings true. And the second is another person who said the frame is to a painting like a setting is to a diamond.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Very nice.
I think Yul Brenner would like the second example better.
As a painter, he has all
Aw,
these
Yul.
paintings and all of these frames. They all have frames on them, and she talks about all of this, and she liked the fact that we were going to your business, and it's exciting. I think
You have to bring your wife over.
I will bring her over. Maybe you'll come to see all her paintings sometime. We live on Thorndike Street, isn't that where we live?
An amazing artist.
Wow.
We do
yeah.
live on Thorndike Street.
Yes.
I'm glad you remembered that.
Thank you.
He
Okay.
doesn't have a barn. You know what he has? He has what we call the neighborhood pot garden.
We have a lot of college
Not
kids.
What kind of garden?
We have a lot of college kids that sound like they're in a barn, although they're outside.
You want me to explain that?
No.
Okay. He grows all his plants in pots.
We're
There's
down to our
hundreds of them.
final minutes, and Shulan, can you tell us one other amazing thing that's unique about Washington Square that you think everybody should know?
I think that it's the events that we have here. We started 2 years ago, the Dog Day. We're going to have one in autumn, the third one. And last year we had about 400 dogs with their owners.
Was that the Wagathon?
The Wagathon.
Oh, Wagathon.
Do you know when the
right.
date of the next Wagathon is?
October.
Excellent.
Okay.
And then
Okay, one. We're on the last minute, okay?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, here
That's
we
so
are in front of
stressful.
the
Supposed to
fast
talk
frame
about it.
in Washington Square in another example of our On the Road series for this summer of the BIG Fun Show. And before we say goodnight, Irene, good night, everybody.
Irene.
Good night, Irene.
Kira will tell you where to look for us in the future.
Yes, we're going to be at the Goddard House next week.
Next week.
I don't have the rest of the schedule on the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I caught
You
you
know,
off guard.
I should have made cheat sheets, but that's okay.
Done.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank
Good night,
you.
all. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks again, sweetie.